That's intentional. It's like a goddamn Boy Scout with this knot. All right, hold on. Thank you. Hi, guys. So, basically, I'm exactly like Ula Uberbusen without the breasts. So useless. No, I'm kidding. Oh. No, I'm just a sad actress like her. That's why I'm here, to make you listen to me. Okay, so I want to tell you a story, and it involves forcing me to out myself, but consider yourself lucky. I'm transgender, and I think the worst thing about being transgender is dating, because it's just never goes the way that you want it to. I mean, I think there's always sort of a form of settling if a trans person is dating a cisgender person, because there's always going to be things that a cisgender person won't totally understand about being trans. Don't worry, I'm going to help you to understand some of those things tonight. Don't worry. I see the look in your eyes. I'm here to help. I teach preschool. I'm here to help. Yeah. Actually, there's an opening in my school, by the way. You need a job. I have a job. Actresseswithoutjobs.com. Okay. All right. So, I have a really good friend who I met in a trans group that I used to go to a long time ago. And, you know, there was this event called Trans in the Sands where, you know, trans girls go to Coney Island every summer and, I don't know, stuff their bathing suits to look like they have tits. So, my girlfriend came home from Trans in the Sands, which I miss every year. I somehow miss this event. I was working in a restaurant because waitressing is what we do. And she comes back home. I was living with my friend. We were roommates at the time. And she says, Jessica, I met this guy. Now, my friend's a lesbian, and she knows I'm straight and tortures me for it all the time. You know, I can't blame her. I mean, it's not like one would choose to be attracted to men, right? I don't think that's like a desirable sexuality. That's how I know sexuality is not a choice, because we would all choose women. We would all choose women. Thank you. Anyway, so she says, I met this guy, I'm gonna give him an alias, Fred, okay. I met this guy, Fred, he's freaking amazing, you're gonna love him, he's trans, but I don't know which way. I'm like, okay. Now my friend's trans, you think she should know better, one, how to tell, and two, how to be politically correct about it. But I don't know, when trans people get together, that political correctness fucking like goes out the window. She's like, I don't know which way, but he's trans, and I think he goes by he, and you have to meet him, he's an artist, he's awesome. I'm like, okay, it's not that I didn't trust my friend's taste in people, but not really her taste in men. She's a lesbian, right? So, a couple weeks go by, and, you know, doing my daily, you know, work, and I actually started doing this self-improvement seminar, which I was kind of conned into, but I really liked it, and I was starting to feel really confident after doing this, like, weekend seminar thing. And I think it was right after I finished the seminar, my friend says, you need to come over to Fred's apartment. Fred lived in Chelsea in this high-rise, this fabulous place, and I didn't know what to expect, but I'm just like, well, he's rich, that's a start. So, I was wrong, you'll find out soon why. But, so I get to the top of the building, and I open the door, and I see this guy, clearly male identified, so at least that's out the window, right? I'm like, okay, step one, male identified. But he has this long, curly, gorgeous hair, like the hair that Jewish girls dream of. Like, terrible. Don't be Jewish in August, the humidity. If you can avoid it. Yeah. That's why we winter in Florida, not summer in Florida. So, anyway. Yeah, he was like fashionable. I mean, I went to fashion school, like, that's kind of like high on my list. He's really well-dressed and, like, just creamy and sexy. And he opens his mouth and I hear a German accent. And he turns out to be Austrian, but we all know that's like the same fucking thing. Right? So, anyway, my friend said he was an artist, but he's actually a photographer, and he shows me his photography, and it's pictures of him naked, and he's clearly a trans man. I now see this based on the pictures. It's pictures of him naked. He puts himself into, actually all of his photography, but it's like naked trans man in the woods, naked trans man on a horse, naked but this guy's fascinating to me. You know, the worst person I could meet is someone fucking boring, and this guy was not boring. But he tells me, I'm only here for 2 months. I'm on an artist grant from Austria, and this building's owned by the Austrian government, and that's why I'm staying here for free for 2 months. I'm like, oh, he's not rich. Fuck. He's just a poor artist, but he's Austrian, so, you know, +1, right? Anyway, you can count the pluses for me as I go along. So, but, you know, and I think he's good looking, but I've never been with a transgender person before. Frankly, I've spent way too much time trying to convince the guys that I date to accept that I'm trans. I didn't want to make things more fucked up with 2 trans people in a relationship, right? But I can tell there's definitely an energy between us. And so the 3 of us, Fred and my good friend Issa, we continue hanging out basically like every night. And one night, we're in a dance club, and he can dance too. That's +6, is it? He can dance. And, oh, he's, you know, he can move, and he's just interesting. He did these moves that they don't do them in America. I can't move the way, like, very robotic European, but cool. And he moves up to me and he starts kind of grinding on me, and that was like the first time I started to feel, you know, sexual attraction. I'm hiccuping. Attraction towards him, and it was pretty clear that I would be going to his place that night. And so I had never been with someone with a vagina before. Never in my life. I was attracted to men while I was one, and I'm attracted to men now that I'm a woman. That, you know, has been consistent. But I'm an equal opportunist. I'll fuck gay men too. But my question isn't, aren't you gay or straight? It's, can you get it up? But I've never worked with the vagina before, and I didn't really know what to expect. So, for those of you who don't know much about transgender men, you know, he takes, you know, they take testosterone, and he had been on testosterone since he was like a teenager and been living as male since he was 9, you know, but, you know, the vagina changes. Your genitals change from hormones. I mean, I know mine, as a trans woman, shrank. It's the opposite, apparently, with some trans men. It was a very large vagina, and every part of the vagina, all the little details, they weren't details anymore. They were like full-blown just there. They were, they would make a great chart because everything was just very clear. So, you know, first we start making out, of course. I mean, I'm not a whore. We have foreplay. And, you know, it's really, really great. And I'm kind of skeptical going down there, but, you know, he went down there first on me, so you have to reciprocate, right? I don't know to this day if he ever felt like my being timid about it, you know, and being trans, the last thing I want to do is make him feel uncomfortable, because then I'd just be a total hypocrite, right? I have been before, but, you know, I wasn't going to do that to him, and I can't say I didn't like it. I hadn't tried it before, right? So it was really, really, really nice. And, you know, I'm not necessarily going to get into too much detail. You know, that's his body and whatever. But, you know, there are things that can be done, you know, no matter what shape your genitals are. There's always a way to fuck, people. There's always a way to fuck. I mean, you just have to get all those ideas in your brain about what sex should be and just throw those away and, you know, just let the feelings take you, because, you know, he might have only had an enlarged clitoris, but he rode me. I mean, yes, so, in any case, the next 2 months were wonderful. Did I mention he was only going to be here for 2 months? Yeah, so it was like September, and he was leaving, I think, like a little bit after Halloween. But we did so much together. I was living with my friend in the East Village. I had just moved in with her about a couple blocks away from here, and I had lived in, like, Harlem for 5 years before that. So I was really excited to be in the East Village where some of my friends lived and do cool things like this. And he lived in Chelsea, which wasn't that far away. So it's like I went from having like a shitty apartment in Harlem to having 2 amazing downtown apartments, right? Sometimes we'd be at my place, sometimes we'd be at his. We would go to fetish parties, and actually, we were at a fetish party once, and we met this bisexual boy who we somehow conned into taking us into his apartment. He turned out to be a classical, famous, I won't mention his name, but a famous organist. Organist. Yes. I'm not just referring to his strap-on collection. This guy was amazing. He had a girlfriend, but he was open polyamorous, right? And he had the strap-on collection. And at the time, I didn't need the strap-on. And actually the only thing that was unfortunate is he didn't find Fred attractive. He seemed to only find me attractive. It happens. It happens. So we basically had sex while Fred watched. And we would do other awesome things, Fred and I, together during the summer. I mean, we would go to all different kinds of parties and events and be a proud trans couple. I went from having years of men being embarrassed to be with me to having a man that we would have the most hilarious fights. You're more passable. No, you're more passable. No, you're cuter. No, you're more cuter. You're passable. It was disgusting. But I don't know why I had avoided being with trans people for so long. Maybe it was a certain form of self-hatred. To this day, it was the healthiest relationship I've ever been in, all 2 months of it. Anyway, so I'm going to go towards the end. It's time for him to move back to Austria. He has a potential of going to NYU a few months in the future, but that was just a dream at that time. It ended up not happening. Yeah, he only came back once to visit, but he was so sweet. He gave me a card with a lock of his hair to remember him by. I know it's kind of like very tweeny, like vampire romance novel shit, right? But when it happens to you, you'll love it. It's romantic, okay? It's fucking romantic. I mean, not if your hair looks like this, but nice hair like his, Like mine, you should, I don't know, wash the sink with my hair or something. But,
I like curls.
really? What did your mother do to you? You like Jufros? You poor, poor child.
I like curls.
Good luck getting your fingers through. Anyway, so you want to condition my hair, that would be great, because it takes me like 30 minutes to fucking go through this. You can detangle me anytime you want. It'd be amazing. But he was always, so he gave me the card to the lock of his hair, right? And do you know what he made for me? He knitted me gloves. He knitted me a pair of gloves. How gay is that? It was so sweet. It's like we were like in a lesbian relationship. It was wonderful. So, my only point to this story really is that, fuck. No. Sometimes, things happen in your life that are completely unexpected, but if you, allow them to, even if you know from the beginning it's not going to last forever, there's always really good messages to learn from that. And enlarged clitorises are delicious.
Until the very end, I thought the takeaway would be there's always a way to fuck somebody. Which is like a throwaway line, perhaps, for
This
you.
is why
But
you should write my shit.
I know, you should, that was mostly off the cuff, or?